All right, we're here with the Storage Squad crew. We're going to talk about some businesses that we like and how we would start them, the possibilities in those businesses.
Yeah,
And
a little brainstorm.
yeah, a little brainstorm.
Dan Hagberg, my business partner, has joined us in town.
How's it going, everybody?
As always, my name is Nick with the Sweaty Startup, and this is Max. If you're listening to the podcast on the Sweaty Startup, this is Max's YouTube channel. You can tune into the videos as well. Here we go. We got 6 ideas here. I got 2. Dan's got 2. Max has 2. We're going to talk about some things that we see out there, some potential that we see. We'll just have a little powwow, a little brainstorm on how we'd market those businesses, how we'd go about starting them, why we think they might be an opportunity. So, number 1 is what I think would be great right now is what every male does as a high schooler, and that is lawn care. I ran a lawn care business. Max ran a lawn care business. My brother now just graduated from college. He runs a lawn care business, and he's doing really well. I saw his books for his first full-time year right out of school, 24 years old. He made $75,000 working for 32 weeks for 50 hours a week by himself. He had one part-time employee work 22 hours a week for just his busy season. That is pretty incredible in my opinion. He invested $24,000 in this. And if you want to see this article that I'm talking about, it's on sweatystartup.com. If you type in profit and loss, you'll be able to see.
Was it $72,000 in profit or revenue?
Yeah, profit. So he did $100,000 in revenue and $72,000 in profit after he paid about $9,000 for his part-time employee. Mm-hmm. His fuel was around $3,000. You can see, like we broke down every single little expense he has. One thing that I love about lawn care is that there's a lot of add-on services. We talk about upsells when you get to someone's house. Like you got weed control, you got fertilization, you got you can even do gutter cleaning and fall cleanup. That's big. You can do snow removal in the wintertime. Some other things in the wintertime that we'll talk about, but I love lawn care because it's low skilled, but you can also insulate yourself from the Craigslisters, the fly-by-nights by getting your weed control applicators permit, and your licenses to do some extra stuff. So, and when you get really good, kind of use lawn care as a loss leader, and landscaping is where the real money is. Like if you can do hardscaping, if you can build patios, if you can build flower beds for people, that's where, as a business owner, if you don't really want to scale a business, you could have 2 or 3 crews running a lawn care company, paying for your overhead, while you, as the owner, are out bidding and working on these jobs, earning $200,000-$300,000 a year in profit. So that's a business that I love it if you can just work in the summer, fish in the wintertime down in Key West if you want to, or keep working, keep scaling, keep growing the business. So
yeah,
love that one. What are your guys' thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I've also done a video on the lawn care business, and basically I started one for $0 when I was 13. And I just negotiated with my neighbors to borrow all their tools to work in their yard. So it literally started for $0, and I was able to save like $17,000 before I was 17 years old from a small little landscaping business. I had no vehicle. I'd walk to people's houses.
Wow.
That's kind of the beauty is that
I went to high school with $40,000, I think, in the bank.
Yeah.
From it. Went to college with $40,000 in the bank, which is incredible.
And I love that you can do it without a ton of startup capital. Like you said, you're borring equipment from your neighbors.
They're all happy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that everybody needs it. There's always grass growing everywhere. So it's a big time need in that regard.
I would have people who would borrow me their rider lawnmower and then pay me $40 an hour to mow their lawn.
Just because they liked you, probably. I will say one thing about it though is that there's a lot of price competition. So if you get emotional about winning every bid and you want to get every customer, you're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel and competing on price. Up that price a lot more than you're uncomfortable with, and be ready for 70% of your bids to not stick and to not get those clients. This is my piece of advice. As far as marketing it, door to door, like knocking on doors, people who just bought a house, finding out who just bought a house, get in with realtors who can recommend you to people who just bought a house, and
talk to people.
Yeah, get out and meet them.
That's a good one with the realtor concept. You buy a new house, you might not even have a lawnmower. You might have a new lawn that you're not used to having to deal with. Like it's definitely a good one.
Yep.
Get with pool cleaners because they're in the backyard already. A lot of them don't do landscaping, so you can work with each other.
Yep. Love it. Okay, next on the list, Dan, you're up.
So it is almost Christmas time here, which is always a lot of fun. So literally just driving around, and obviously you see Christmas lights being put up. And so my dad growing up would always put up our lights, and then by the time we got a little bit older, he kind of just gave up on it. He was like, all right, no point. Yeah, it's a ton of work. And you get the one light bulb that doesn't work anymore, and the whole thing's messed up.
I remember testing strands out in the garage.
Yeah, it's a pain. So I started looking into what companies exist down here in Athens. I actually used I just called one of the companies, like pretty much the only one, and I have a condo here, so my place isn't really applicable for a quote here, but I used your house, Nick, to see like, hey, what would it cost to have Christmas lights at Nick's house? And the guy came back with, he said it was about $1,800 is what it would cost. And
I have an 8,000 square foot lot. That's a pretty small
but
house.
we're not talking about like this was the price for just your house.
Yeah,
Not
I'm
like
saying my lot is small.
yeah, but it's not for your lawn. It was just the house.
Oh my gosh.
The house, and then but he also said they would do your door as well with a
wow.
wreath. So, yeah. So I mean that's quite a bit of money there. And then this is kind of like I asked him a couple more questions, but the part that I really started to like was he kept referencing the fact that if you use this once, they'll take the lights and then they go and they store them in their place or wherever they store them. And then if you use them again the following year, they give you a 10% discount.
Oh.
Obviously, they don't have to pay for the lights again. And then in my head, I'm like, how many people actually utilize that service? Like they keep using them again and again and again. And he said he maybe he made this up, but he said it was a 98.6% retention rate.
What?
Which is
He told you that on the phone.
he told me, he's like, yeah, actually, I just did some math on this. Like, I got this whole report, and he's like, yeah, 98.6% of the people come back, like, year after year after year. So he's talking about getting recurring business is, like, you've already have the sunk costs of these lights, which LED technology is, like,
Cheap.
very, very cheap. Now, they're durable. They last forever. It's super energy efficient. So, like, even, like, I was talking about, like, when I was growing up, the lights that we had to use is, like, you'd have to have all these different outlets because they use so much more power. Now it's like one strand could go like the whole house and just goes in one basic outlet. It's like doesn't use as much energy. So costs are low for them. But yeah, the part that really got me is like it's one thing to make $1,800 to put up lights for somebody, but if the following year you're going to make $1,600 with no costs except for just the cost of putting them up, and then they said they keep coming back.
Business is coming. You know it's coming.
And you also know the LED lights last like 20 years, so you're not going to have to keep buying strands.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I was very impressed with just that, like super basic research calling one company. And I think just in general, a lot of people are, they want services at this point in their lives. They're used to that, the service economy. So I think, if you don't have to put up your own lights, pay somebody else to do it.
And that's something that a lawn care company should do in the off season.
Exactly. It's the perfect complement to a seasonal business. Like lawn care is one of them, but even, there's tons of people that only really get their most of their work in summertime. And this is a, good opportunity to do something in the winter. And it's like, it's not even the whole winter, like snow removal. You've got to go out there every day. This is go up once, you put it up.
Yeah, you work hard for 3 weeks and you're done.
Exactly. So it's even more specialized than like snow removal.
So you made one call in one city and you got somebody to tell you the retention rate of their customers. Like we talk about market research, folks, about calling companies and just trying to get them to talk a little bit about their business. Like what better information could you possibly get?
Yeah.
Imagine if you called every main, there's probably only one company in Athens that does it.
Yeah, they had like a radius that they would do. I could only find one.
Yeah, so if I was in Athens about to launch this business, I would call Atlanta, I would call Boston, I would call Phoenix, I would call like 7 or 8 cities, pick the brains of all the owners just like that who were bragging about how low cost they're. One of them would probably tell you how much money they make.
Yeah. I got another fact that he gave me, which is interesting. He said, because I'm like, well, how many, like, to me, the quote seemed high. Like, I'm like, $1,800, that's a lot of money. But I'm like, how many of your quotes that you sent, like, how many people actually do this? And he said they have 87% of the bids they send out, people accept.
Oh, my God. It's time to start a Christmas light.
All right, what are we doing here?
It's like very impressive numbers. And I don't know. It seemed cool. Obviously, we're in the holiday spirit now, so it's easy to think about like businesses that are directly related to what's around you at the time. But that's kind of what it is sometimes when you start businesses. You look around and it's like, what's immediately around me? Kind of think about what you could be doing around and make better. And
right now it's December, so I would put up a Google My Business location, a website, and get a couple reviews and do it next year. Like this is something that you plan for right now and you do it next year.
And you could even go, you buy your lights at Home Depot right now if you have like a couple customers. But you're talking about buying lights in bulk are like the definition of a markup. Like you bought something direct from China and bought thousands of strands of the same thing. Like your cost would be so cheap if you went directly to a source. But even if you just did it, like the business model of just doing it from going to Home Depot or Walmart would still make sense. But we're talking when you get to a certain amount of scale, your cost would be very, very low.
I also like with that when the install date and to take them down isn't super time sensitive. You could probably do a week window
not at all.
to knock them all
You don't
out.
have to be home either,
Yeah,
so you don't have
yeah.
to meet anyone.
You get economies of scale then too, because you're like, I have all of these people in this area, and you send one crew out to just do a route and take all the stuff down in one day. So like you're even further reduces your costs in that regard.
They could probably do 3 houses in a day. A group of 2 guys could.
I don't know. I've never like done a house. I'm not really sure how long that takes. But
I'm guessing if you got good at it, had some ladders, had it all down to a science, you could do 2 or 3 houses a day.
I would
So you think about $1,400. Let's do some basic math. You got, say, $200 worth of lights. You do 3 houses a day. You work for a week, $1,400 each. Say you got to do that twice because you got to do the pickup as well. You're looking at being able to bring in 30, 40 grand on $5 grand in labor.
It's probably a lot easier taking it down though, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Right.
But you got to stay organized.
Yeah,
you know.
keep it
Yeah.
organized. Yeah, especially if we're using them again.
Got to have
next
some
year.
bins probably, but cargo van's perfect for it. You can get a cheap cargo
Definitely.
van on Craigslist. Dan and I bought 15 of those. Love it. Love everything about it. All right, Max, you're up with one.
Yeah, so the one that I want to talk about is just basic locksmithing. I like this a lot because it's just something that keeps coming up. Like I've personally used locksmiths like 5 or 6 different times because my guys constantly lock themselves out of the trucks. And every single call, like if you're having someone mobile locksmith come out, it's like $200, and it takes them literally 10 minutes. And most of the time they're local, they're right down the road. Takes almost no time. It's super low skilled. And also about 6 months ago, I learned how to pick a lock, and it was the most satisfying thing I've ever learned. Like I could see picking that up as a hobby.
What kind of locks are we talking? Like
Door,
all
my
locks?
front door, my garage door, padlocks.
You could pick them all.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have a conversation after this episode. I'd like to learn that.
I did
It's
see
Show me
some.
your
super
ways.
satisfying.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, so you're gonna make it side gig at first. Obviously, you're doing nights
Yeah.
and weekends. Very low cost to start. You do it out of your car. You can buy a kit on Amazon. I'm assuming for $50 to start this.
Not
business.
even, yeah, $15. You can buy a kit.
$15 you get the tools.
Lot-
Study it up.
yeah.
Practice for fun. Impress your friends. Talk to guys like Dan at
Yeah.
beer drinking parties.
Everyone
about
thinks it's
picking locks.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm liking it. How are we gonna market that?
How I would market it is I would go to car dealerships because a lot of times older models, they don't keep the cuts of older keys. This happened to me. Someone lost the keys to one of my trucks. I went to the dealership. They didn't have the information of that truck anymore, but they recommended a locksmith who would. He said, call this guy. He's great. He'll set you up. I called the guy. He had the key code, was able to cut me a key, get it to my truck.
Love it. Self-storage facility, Dan. Like we in the self-storage facility, we have customers have problems with locks, and we do not want to mess with it. We want to outsource that stuff. So if I were a locksmith, I would go to every single self-storage facility and say, hey, give your customers my number. It's $75 and I'll handle their lock. And we'd be recommending that guy 3 or 4 guys a month because we do not want to send an employee out to cut locks or do something for the customers. We'd much rather say, here's our locksmith, call him.
Right, because
worry
we're
about it.
sending somebody out there to essentially break even on a transaction, but it's work for us to send somebody to do something and do all this stuff. Whereas if it's just policy of, here you go, this is who you call every time you need a problem. That's the way to do it. So.
Upsells too, like you could sell windshield wipers, like
Oh,
you could
yeah,
get
that's
windshield
true.
wiper fluids, you could sell air fresheners, you could do little customer appreciation things, give away air fresheners with their little logo on it or something like that. Another one is the actual keys that you get for the newer vehicles are expensive as heck. But if you look at buying them in China, they're cheap, but you just don't know how to program them. The locksmith can. So it'd be really high margin work to say, hey, do you want a couple extra sets of keys for your brand new Dodge that has a $400 thing? That the dealer wanted to charge me $400 for the little key
Right.
when I got my Caravan. It only came with one.
So is it like a machine that you have to own that like you take the key and you program it or something like that?
No idea. No idea the process, but I know that it's not a $400
Yeah, it's
piece
got to
of
be
equipment.
cheaper than what
Yeah.
the dealer
So that
quotes.
could be a
Yeah.
very high
Yeah.
margin upsell for
There's
locksmith.
probably some kind of code that comes with that key and code that comes with the vehicle.
And like I liked what you said, like because you're like originally referencing the fact that like the emergency. You think of a locksmith, it's when you need a locksmith. Like I can't get in somewhere or I'm locked out. But when you're talking about selling the spare key to somebody, like I only have one key to my car, and I know if I lose it, you're kind of screwed. Like you have to go days without being able to drive your car. You got to go to the locksmith, or you have to go to the dealer and pay
Dealers
$400.
rip you off.
I would pay if I could pay $150, $200 to just have a spare key. But I'm not like looking for a spare key. But if someone came to me somehow and was like, "Do you need a spare key? This is why you need a spare key." I might say, "Okay,
Yeah, that's true.
I will buy that
make
spare
flyers, Make flyers and go up and down the street out here in Athens, Georgia, and just put underneath every single nice car's window, like I'll make you a second key for cheap. Like
key for
I'm a
below."
locksmith.
Yeah, because
you could even go to events. Like I know most larger apartment complexes have community events. Set up a little table there, and where you're just cutting keys right there, and you could do it super cheap because you probably knock out 10, 20 of them in a couple hours.
I like the car part though, because those are to get just a regular key
Right.
mades.
cheap.
$1.50,
Yeah.
$2 at Home Depot, but those car keys, they can't do them at Home Depot.
Yeah.
I've tried, and they say, well, sorry, we can't do that because you need that programming thing that you need. I used to cut keys at Home Depot, so kind of a key cutting
best job
expert.
that Dan ever had. He was actually a really good worker at that job too.
That was the best.
No, a PR event that you could have as a locksmith too is like, bring me any lock and I will pick that lock. And if I can't pick the lock, you get a free key to your Dodge. Like I'm gonna
that'd be cool.
Wow,
I'm
that's
gonna
a
hold an
good
event
one.
where you bring me a lock, you buy any lock you want, bring it to me, and I'll pick it in 10 minutes, or you get something. I don't know what. Case of beer if you're at a frat party, whatever.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I like that idea.
All right, we're signing off. We're gonna turn this into a 2-part episode because we're already at 15 minutes, and I know people like this, so we're gonna take the schedule onward, and we're gonna talk about our next 3 ideas on the next show.
Catch us back in part 2.
See ya.